My CEO ran into me at the store and teased. So this is how you're preparing for our date. Sunlight was fading behind the buildings, and the warm glow of the store lights welcomed the few shoppers who had wandered in. Among them was Amara, a young engineer working at Novatech Industries, one of the most advanced space tech companies on Earth. She pushed her cart slowly down the aisle, her mind still stuck on the project she had been working on all day, a new propulsion system for the company's next interstellar ship. She didn't usually enjoy grocery shopping, but it was a small pleasure after the stress of a long day. Her hands absently picked up a pack of pasta, then put it back when she remembered she already had some at home. Amara's thoughts were completely absorbed in calculations, performance graphs, and how to convince her team to accept her design ideas. She barely noticed the faint tapping sound of someone approaching her from behind. "Amara," a familiar voice said, teasing yet soft. She turned quickly, almost dropping the pasta in her hands, and there he was, Mr. Kieran Holt, the CEO of Novatech, casually dressed in jeans and a leather jacket. He had a half-smile on his face, that same confident, slightly mischievous expression that always made her stomach flutter. "Kieran, what are you doing here?" Amara stammered, feeling her cheeks warm instantly. He leaned slightly on the edge of the aisle, a playful glint in his eyes. "Just shopping, but I have to say I didn't expect to see you here. So this is how you're preparing for our date." Amara froze. Her heart skipped a beat. Date. She hadn't even realized they were. Well, she hadn't expected it to get this far. Their occasional friendly dinners after late work meetings had always been casual. She hadn't thought of them as actual dates. And now here he was, teasing her openly in a grocery store. She began, fumbling for words as a small crowd of shoppers passed by, glancing curiously at the scene. "I didn't, it's just shopping." Kieran laughed softly, that easy laugh that could charm anyone, and leaned closer, lowering his voice so it sounded conspiratorial. "Sure, shopping. But the way you're standing, holding that pasta, it looks like you're planning something serious. A recipe for romance, maybe." Amara felt herself blush even more. She wanted to run away, hide behind a shelf, or pretend she hadn't heard anything. But there was something about his teasing tone, the playful challenge in his eyes, that made it impossible to respond sharply. Instead, she smiled nervously. "You really shouldn't be teasing me here," she said, trying to sound confident but failing. "Why not?" he asked, raising one eyebrow. "It's the perfect place. Public, casual, normal, and yet somehow slightly embarrassing for you. I like that." Amara bit her lip, a mix of annoyance and amusement twisting inside her. She had always admired Kieran's boldness. He could walk into a meeting and command attention effortlessly. But here, standing in front of her with a simple cart, he felt human. Funny, teasing, and somehow very approachable. I'm trying to pick something quick for dinner," she said finally, hoping he would let the topic drop. Kieran tilted his head, studying her like she was a fascinating puzzle. "Quick, huh? That's not like you. You usually plan every detail, every calculation. Are you sure you're not hiding some secret dinner plan in here?" Amara groaned inwardly. He was right. She was a planner. She thought through every step of every project, every meeting, every experiment. The idea that she could be careless in front of him, or that he could notice it, was both exciting and terrifying. Before she could answer, Kieran reached into the cart and picked up a packet of pasta himself. He examined it as if he were a judge evaluating a rare specimen. High-quality durum wheat, not bad." He smiled at her, still holding the pasta. "But I think you need more than this. Maybe some sauce, some spices, maybe even something fancy. You know, to impress me." Amara laughed a little too loudly. "You're impossible." "And yet here you are, caught off guard in the middle of your preparations," he replied, winking. For a moment, Amara felt like time had slowed. The soft hum of the store, the passing shoppers, the gentle evening light, it all faded into the background. She realized that Kieran had a way of making everything feel just slightly magical, like the ordinary world had suddenly become a stage for something extraordinary. "Maybe I just came here to escape work," she admitted softly. He nodded thoughtfully as if he understood completely. "Fair enough, but then why not make it interesting? Take me along. Let me see how you do grocery shopping under pressure." Amara blinked. "Excuse me." "Come on," he said, stepping closer. "I'll be your test subject. Show me your skills. You're a brilliant engineer, right? Surely you can make even grocery shopping look like an experiment." She shook her head, trying to hide her smile. "I don't think this is the kind of experiment I want to conduct." Kieran leaned casually against the cart, crossing his arms. "You might be surprised. Some of the best results come from the experiments you never expected to run." Amara couldn't help but laugh. He had a way of saying things that made her heart race, but also made her think, made her curious, and made her want to rise to the challenge. "You know," she said after a moment, "if we're doing this, I get to pick the aisle first." "Deal," he said immediately, holding out a hand like they were signing a contract. She hesitated, then placed her hand in his. The contact was brief, but the warmth lingered longer than either of them expected. For a moment, the teasing, the laughter, the awkwardness, all of it was forgotten. They were just two people, walking down a grocery aisle together, discovering new sides of each other. As they moved down the aisle, Amara realized something else. Kieran wasn't just teasing for fun. He was genuinely interested in her thoughts, her choices, her personality. And that realization sent a strange, thrilling pulse through her. She felt seen. Really seen. "So," Kieran said, picking up a jar of tomato sauce, "are you going for a classic spaghetti tonight or something more daring?" Amara considered the options. "Classic," she said, "but I might add something unexpected. Maybe some roasted vegetables, maybe a little extra spice." He raised an eyebrow, clearly impressed. "See, I knew you had style and courage. Humans like you always find ways to make the ordinary extraordinary." Her cheeks heated again, but this time with pride. It wasn't just his charm. He truly admired her creativity, her intelligence. And hearing him say it made her feel powerful in a way she rarely allowed herself to. By the time they reached the checkout, the awkward tension had melted into playful camaraderie. Kieran paid for the groceries, teasing her about how she should have picked more adventurous ingredients, while Amara laughed, secretly enjoying every moment of it. As they stepped outside, the evening sky stretched wide above them, painted in shades of pink and gold. Amara felt a mix of nerves and excitement. This accidental meeting at a grocery store had turned into something far more interesting than she had expected. Kieran turned to her, his usual confident grin softening into something warmer. "Well, Amara, I'll see you at the date then. And don't forget, bring that creativity, it's your secret weapon." She nodded, her heart racing, a small smile playing on her lips. "I won't forget." As he walked away, Amara realized that her ordinary evening had transformed into something extraordinary. And for the first time in a long while, she felt the thrill of possibility, not in her projects, not in her calculations, but in something far more unpredictable, the start of a connection she couldn't yet define. And maybe, just maybe, she liked that uncertainty more than she would ever admit. The next day at Novatech Industries, Amara tried to focus on her work, but her thoughts kept drifting back to the grocery store encounter. Kieran's teasing smile, the warmth in his voice, and the playful spark in his eyes haunted her throughout the morning. She shook her head and laughed quietly to herself, feeling both flustered and strangely excited. She told herself she had work to do, missions to plan, and calculations to perfect, but part of her wondered if Kieran's unexpected charm had left her a little distracted. Around noon, her phone buzzed with a notification. It was a message from Kieran. "Meet me in the lounge at 6 p.m. I have an idea for our date experiment. Dress comfortably." Amara stared at the message, blinking. Date experiment. She felt a mix of nerves and curiosity. The word experiment sounded very Kieran, blending his love for innovation with his unmistakable charm. She knew she couldn't resist. By 6 p.m., she was in the lounge, which had been transformed for the evening. The usual bright corporate space now had soft lighting and a few scattered chairs, with a small table in the center holding a sleek, futuristic device she hadn't seen before. A subtle hum filled the room, a quiet energy that made her heart beat faster. Kieran was already there, casually leaning against a wall with a mischievous grin. "Welcome, Dr. Amara," he said, bowing slightly. "Tonight, we are going to test something new. I call it the VR dining experiment." Amara raised an eyebrow, curiosity mingling with apprehension. "VR dining? You mean virtual reality?" "Exactly." Kieran's smile widened. "Think of it as a simulated date in a controlled environment. No outside distractions, no interruptions, just us, exploring new experiences together." She blinked, feeling both nervous and intrigued. "And why do you need me for this experiment?" "Because," he said, stepping closer, "I need a brilliant mind to help me navigate the unexpected. Plus, it's more fun with a partner who can keep up." Amara hesitated for only a moment before nodding. Something about Kieran's excitement was contagious. She allowed herself to follow him to the device, which looked like a sleek chair with a helmet and gloves attached. "Put this on," Kieran instructed, handing her the VR headset. "It will feel like stepping into another world. Trust me, it's perfectly safe." Amara carefully placed the headset over her eyes. The moment she did, the room around her disappeared, replaced by a luxurious, candle-lit restaurant floating in a starlit sky. The tables shimmered with soft light, and a gentle, futuristic melody played in the background. The illusion was perfect, so real that she could feel the imagined warmth of the candles and smell the faint scent of fresh bread and roasted spices. Kieran appeared beside her, now in the virtual world, smiling. "Impressive, right?" Amara laughed softly. "It feels real, almost too real." He gestured to a table with 2 chairs. "Shall we sit?" They settled in, and for a moment both were quiet, taking in the surreal experience. Amara marveled at how well the VR system simulated not just visuals, but sounds, smells, and even subtle temperature changes. It was like being in another world entirely, and yet she felt a strange comfort knowing Kieran was beside her. "So," he said, breaking the silence, "tell me, what would be your perfect virtual dinner?" Amara thought for a moment. "Something simple but elegant. Fresh ingredients, interesting flavors, and maybe a little challenge, like pairing flavors I wouldn't normally try together." Kieran's grin widened. "I like that. Humans who take risks, even small ones, they're fascinating." Amara felt a warm flutter in her chest. It was one thing to be admired at work. It was another entirely to have someone see her creativity and curiosity as charming. As they began eating their virtual meal, a small glitch caused the digital tablecloth to ripple like a wave, sending a virtual cup of water spilling toward her lap. She yelped, instinctively reaching out to catch it. Kieran laughed, quickly placing a hand near hers in the simulation to stabilize the cup. "Careful, experiments have risks, you know." Amara rolled her eyes but laughed, feeling a little embarrassed. "This is hardly dangerous," she said, though the tiny adrenaline rush made her heart beat faster. The VR system responded to their actions with surprising realism. When she moved, the digital environment adjusted seamlessly. Kieran leaned closer, and she realized the simulation had included subtle social cues. The way he adjusted his posture, the slight tilt of his head, even the soft warmth of proximity, though virtual. "This is incredible," she whispered. "I can't believe it's so lifelike." "It's the latest Novatech tech," Kieran said, clearly proud. "But the real test is how humans interact with it. That's why I needed you here. You're clever enough to notice details and fun enough to keep up." Amara smiled, feeling a mix of pride and nervous excitement. "And you're just here to tease me, aren't you?" Partially, he admitted with a wink, but mostly I'm here to see you shine. The evening continued with laughter, playful challenges, and surprising moments. At one point, a digital waiter presented them with a dish that required both to solve a puzzle to access the virtual flavors. Amara's engineering mind kicked in immediately. She analyzed the virtual mechanism, adjusted her approach, and solved it with Kieran's encouragement. "See," he said, clapping lightly, "you make it look easy. Humans always find a way to make the impossible possible." She blushed, feeling both proud and delighted by his praise. It was more than just a game. It was an acknowledgement of her skill, her cleverness, and her spirit. As the VR experience drew toward its finale, the environment shifted to a quiet balcony overlooking a shimmering galaxy, stars twinkling like tiny jewels around them. The music softened, and for a moment the playful teasing was replaced with gentle, unspoken connection. Kieran reached out, taking her virtual hand. "Amara, thank you for joining me tonight. This might be the most enjoyable experiment I've ever conducted." Amara smiled, feeling a mix of warmth and nervous excitement. "It's incredible. I never expected a simple VR demo to feel so real." "It's not just the tech," Kieran said softly. "It's the human element. And you make it extraordinary." Her cheeks warmed. She wanted to respond, to say something clever, but words failed her. Instead, she squeezed his hand lightly, a gesture full of quiet acknowledgement. Suddenly, the VR system gave a soft beep, signaling the end of the session. The balcony, stars, and virtual smells faded away, replaced once again by the lounge's soft lighting. Amara removed the headset, blinking against the real-world brightness. Kieran stood beside her, smiling as though the transition back hadn't bothered him at all. "You did well," he said, still teasing lightly. "And you kept your composure through a potentially catastrophic spill." "I'm impressed," Amara laughed, shaking her head. "You make everything sound like a test of my human capabilities." "That's because it is," he replied with a wink. "And humans like you, they excel when challenged. You inspire me, Amara. That's why I asked you to join this experiment." She felt her heart swell with both pride and something tender, something new. For the first time, she realized that this wasn't just playful teasing. Kieran genuinely valued her mind, her courage, and her spirit. As they walked out of the lounge together, Amara felt lighter, as if the VR experience had shifted something inside her. She realized that the evening had been more than a date experiment. It had been a moment of connection, a demonstration of human ingenuity, and an affirmation that even in a world filled with advanced technology, the simplest human qualities, curiosity, humor, courage, and kindness, were the most extraordinary of all. Kieran looked at her, grinning as usual. "So, how about we make this a regular thing? More experiments, more adventures, you, me, humans at our best." Amara laughed softly, feeling a thrill of excitement. "I think I'd like that." And as they parted ways that evening, she carried with her a sense of wonder and anticipation. Life, it seemed, had just become a little more extraordinary, and perhaps, with Kieran by her side, she was ready to embrace it fully. The morning after the VR dining experiment, Amara arrived at Novatech Industries with a strange mix of excitement and nervousness. Her mind replayed the previous evening over and over, the soft glow of the virtual stars, the playful teasing, Kieran's warm smile, and the quiet moments where it seemed like he could actually see her, truly see her. Yet she couldn't let herself get too carried away. Work still needed her attention. Today, she had to present updates on the interstellar propulsion project to the senior team. She had spent countless nights refining every calculation, every diagram, every simulation. She couldn't afford to let thoughts of Kieran distract her, no matter how tempting they were. As she walked through the office, her colleagues waved and smiled, and she returned the gestures, though her mind was partially elsewhere. Kieran, as usual, seemed unbothered by the early hour. He was already in his glass-walled office, reviewing reports. But when he noticed her passing, he waved with that same mischievous grin that made her stomach flutter. During the presentation, Amara's focus sharpened. She spoke clearly, presenting her data with precision and confidence. The team asked questions, which she answered calmly and thoroughly. Even under the scrutiny of the senior engineers, she felt poised, almost glowing with competence. Kieran observed silently from the back, nodding occasionally. At one point he raised his hand, making a small joke to lighten the mood, and Amara laughed, grateful for the brief respite. After the meeting, Kieran approached her privately in the hallway. "Amara," he said, his voice low and casual, "I wanted to tell you the way you handled today, it's impressive. You don't just work hard, you inspire others. Humans like you remind me why I love leading teams." Amara's cheeks warmed. "Thank you," she said softly. "That means a lot," Kieran smiled, a mix of pride and playful teasing in his eyes. "It's true, but," he added, leaning slightly closer, "I think there's another part of you I'd like to see outside work, outside all the calculations. I want to see the human side, the one that makes VR dining experiments so enjoyable." Amara felt her heart skip a beat. She knew what he meant. It wasn't just about work or technology. It was about connection, curiosity, and trust. She nodded slightly. "Maybe we can find the right moment." Kieran's smile deepened. "Good, because humans like us, we need moments like that." The rest of the day passed quickly. Amara threw herself into her work, but her mind kept drifting back to Kieran's words. She realized that he was not only a brilliant CEO, but also someone who genuinely appreciated human qualities: creativity, ingenuity, humor, and courage. He didn't just value results, he valued the person behind them. And that realization made her feel both excited and nervous. Later that evening, she decided to take a walk to clear her mind. The city was calm, the streets quiet, and the soft glow of streetlights created a serene atmosphere. As she strolled, she thought about the VR experiment. It wasn't just fun, it was a lesson in teamwork, trust, and human ingenuity. Even in a world filled with advanced technology, the human mind and heart were irreplaceable. As if on cue, her phone buzzed. A message from Kieran appeared. "Feeling like another experiment tonight. Meet me at the rooftop at 8 p.m. Don't worry, it's completely safe." Amara smiled, shaking her head. He really did have a way of keeping life interesting. She replied quickly, "I'll be there, looking forward to it." By 8 p.m., she reached the rooftop of Novatech Industries. The city skyline stretched out before her, lights twinkling like stars. Kieran was already there, casually leaning against the railing, looking relaxed and confident. "Amara," he greeted, smiling, "I hope you're ready for a slightly different kind of experiment tonight." She raised an eyebrow, curious. "Different how?" He motioned to a sleek, portable device on a small table. "Tonight, we explore human creativity under pressure. I've set up a challenge. Using this, we'll simulate a mission scenario, a situation where quick thinking and cooperation matter. It's a test, but also a chance to have fun." Amara couldn't help but laugh. "You really know how to make ordinary evenings extraordinary." "That's the goal," Kieran said, grinning. "Humans like us thrive on challenges, and sometimes it's a way to understand each other better." The device resembled a small, interactive console with holographic projections. Kieran explained the rules. They would face a simulated crisis scenario, and their task was to resolve it using teamwork, communication, and problem-solving skills. The simulation was designed to be challenging but safe, a virtual space that allowed them to test their instincts and ingenuity. As the simulation began, holographic images of a spaceship appeared, with critical systems failing one by one. Amara quickly assessed the situation, noting which systems needed immediate attention. Kieran followed her lead, offering suggestions and adjusting his approach based on her instructions. "Look at the energy matrix," Amara said, pointing at a flickering hologram. We need to stabilize the output or the ship could lose propulsion. Kieran nodded. Got it. I'll reroute auxiliary power to the main engine. Ready? Go, Amara said, her voice steady. They worked together seamlessly, adjusting holographic controls, rerouting virtual energy, and troubleshooting problems in real time. Amara felt a surge of excitement. This was teamwork at its finest, a dance of intellect and instinct. And Kieran, as always, was the perfect partner, quick to adapt and always encouraging. After several tense moments, the simulation resolved successfully. The virtual spaceship stabilized, and a holographic message appeared. Mission accomplished. Kieran turned to her, eyes shining with admiration. See, humans like you, clever, quick, resilient, always find a way. You inspire me, Amara, really. Amara felt her heart swell. It's nice to hear that, she admitted softly. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. You know, it's not just your skills that impress me. It's how you handle everything with grace, humor, and intelligence. You make even simulations feel alive. Amara smiled, feeling both flattered and nervous. She realized that this wasn't just about technology or challenges. It was about trust, respect, and a deepening connection. For the next hour, they continued experimenting, laughing at small glitches in the simulation, teasing each other about mistakes, and celebrating successes. With each interaction, Amara felt a growing sense of comfort and admiration. Kieran wasn't just a CEO or a brilliant mind. He was human, playful, attentive, and genuinely impressed by her qualities. Finally, they stepped away from the console, breathing in the cool night air. The city stretched out below them, lights twinkling, the stars above faintly visible in the sky. For a moment they simply stood together, enjoying the silence and the shared sense of accomplishment. Kieran looked at her, smiling warmly. Amara, thank you. Tonight wasn't just an experiment. It reminded me why humans, especially humans like you, shine. You bring ingenuity, courage, and heart to everything you do, and I admire that. Amara felt a gentle warmth spread through her chest. Thank you, she replied softly. It means a lot coming from you. He stepped closer, just enough to make her notice the subtle, comforting presence of someone who truly understood her. Humans like us, we create, we solve, we inspire, and sometimes we find connections that make everything better. Amara's lips curved into a small smile. She realized that Kieran wasn't just admiring her intellect or skill, he was seeing her humanity. And in that moment, she felt a quiet thrill, a sense of possibility that went beyond work, beyond technology, beyond simulations. As they finally left the rooftop together, Amara felt lighter, happier, and more confident. The world of advanced technology, interstellar projects, and complex simulations was fascinating. But it was the human connections, trust, and shared experiences that made life extraordinary. And with Kieran by her side, she realized that these moments weren't just experiments. They were the beginning of something meaningful, something real, something that celebrated both human ingenuity and human heart. For the first time in a long while, Amara felt that being human, clever, resilient, compassionate, and curious, was not only enough, it was extraordinary. The following week at Novatech Industries was unlike any other. The company was preparing for a high-stakes project, a test launch of a revolutionary interstellar probe designed to explore a distant star system. Amara was at the center of it all, leading her team in refining the propulsion systems that could make or break the mission. The responsibility was immense, but she felt a surge of excitement. This was what she lived for: the challenge, the problem-solving, the chance to push human ingenuity to its limits. Yet her mind kept drifting to Kieran. He had been supportive and playful during the VR experiments, but now the stakes were real. She could feel his presence even when he wasn't in the room, his encouragement, his admiration, and the subtle way he challenged her to excel. One morning, as she reviewed simulation data, Kieran appeared at her lab door. He leaned casually against the frame, arms crossed, and gave her that familiar mischievous smile. "Amara," he said, "I have a challenge for you. Think of it as a final experiment before the big launch." She raised an eyebrow. "Another experiment? Kieran, the launch itself is a massive experiment." He laughed softly. "True, but this one tests your judgment, creativity, and courage, qualities you've already shown in spades. I just want to see how humans like you perform under unexpected pressure." Amara sighed, knowing she couldn't refuse. "Fine, what do you want me to do?" He handed her a tablet displaying a complex problem. The propulsion system was encountering an unexpected instability in the simulations. If not corrected, the probe could veer off course during launch. The solution required a combination of technical expertise, rapid decision-making, and collaboration with her team. "I want you to lead this," Kieran said, his eyes serious now. "And remember, I'm watching. Humans like you rise to the challenge. I have faith in you, but I want to see it firsthand." Amara took a deep breath. The words were heavy with expectation, but instead of feeling intimidated, she felt a strange thrill. Kieran's confidence in her wasn't just flattering, it was motivating. She dove into the data, analyzing every variable, every simulation parameter, and every potential solution. For hours, she worked tirelessly, bouncing ideas off her team, adjusting calculations, and testing various approaches. Kieran checked in periodically, not to interfere but to observe, ask probing questions, and offer subtle hints when needed. He trusted her, and that trust gave her energy and focus. At one point, a major instability occurred in the simulation, causing a cascade of errors that threatened to halt progress entirely. Amara's heart raced, but she refused to panic. Instead, she calmly assessed the situation. "We need to reroute power from the auxiliary thrusters and adjust the fuel ratio simultaneously. That should stabilize the system." Kieran watched closely, impressed by her clarity and composure. "Go ahead," he said. "I know you've got this." Amara coordinated her team, giving precise instructions and recalibrating the system. Slowly, the simulation stabilized, the errors disappeared, and the propulsion system held steady. She leaned back in her chair, breathing deeply, feeling a mix of relief and triumph. Kieran approached, smiling broadly. "See, humans like you, they don't just solve problems, they inspire confidence even under pressure. You handled that flawlessly." Amara felt a warm blush rise to her cheeks. "Thank you. It wasn't easy, but," she hesitated, "I couldn't have done it without the team." "Exactly," Kieran said, nodding. "And that's the mark of a true leader. Humans aren't just clever individually, they excel when they work together, when they trust and support each other." Her heart fluttered. He wasn't just praising her technical skills, he was acknowledging her human qualities, her leadership, her courage, and her ability to stay calm under pressure. Later that evening, the office was quieter. Most of the team had left, but Amara stayed behind to finalize the simulation reports. She was tired but exhilarated. The sense of accomplishment was intoxicating, yet she couldn't shake the anticipation of seeing Kieran again. As she packed her things, he appeared, casually leaning against the doorframe. "Still here?" he asked, raising an eyebrow. "I had to finish the reports," she replied, smiling tiredly. "The project can't wait." Kieran stepped closer. "I know, and that's why I admire you. Humans like you don't just rise to challenges, you thrive under them. But tonight, I thought we could celebrate." Amara blinked. "Celebrate with what?" He gestured toward the small rooftop garden adjacent to the lab. Soft lights glimmered among the plants and a small table was set up with refreshments. "A little human reward," he said. "No simulations, no calculations, just a chance to relax, talk, and be humans for a moment." She hesitated, then nodded. "Okay, I could use a break." They stepped into the rooftop garden, the city lights twinkling below them. The evening air was cool, carrying a gentle breeze that made the leaves rustle softly. Amara felt a strange sense of calm, something rare in her usually busy, problem-focused life. As they sat at the table, Kieran poured 2 glasses of sparkling juice. "To humans," he said, raising his glass. "Clever, resilient, curious humans, and to those who inspire others to be their best." Amara smiled, clinking her glass gently against his. "To humans," she echoed. They talked for a while about light topics, favorite books, childhood memories, and dreams for the future. Yet, beneath the casual conversation, a deeper connection was forming. Each word, each gesture, each laugh reinforced the trust and admiration between them. At one point, Kieran leaned slightly closer, lowering his voice. "Amara, tonight I realized something. Humans like you aren't just impressive on paper or in simulations. You're remarkable because you inspire others, because you bring heart to everything you do. And I want to see more of that, outside work, outside the experiments." Her chest tightened, and she felt a flutter of nervous excitement. I'd like that too," she admitted softly. He smiled warmly, his usual teasing demeanor softened into something sincere and attentive. "Good, because humans like us, we deserve moments like this. Moments that remind us why we push ourselves, why we care, why we thrive." Amara felt a quiet thrill. It wasn't just about work or technology or the thrill of a successful simulation. It was about recognition, connection, and trust, the very qualities that made human ingenuity so extraordinary. As the evening drew to a close, they stood together at the edge of the rooftop, gazing at the city below. Kieran's hand brushed hers gently, a subtle touch that sent a warm pulse through her body. "Humans like us," he said softly. "We find ways to rise to every challenge, and sometimes we find people who make the journey worth it." Amara looked at him, feeling both exhilarated and comforted. I think I understand," she whispered. He smiled, squeezing her hand lightly. "Good, because the real experiments, the ones that test heart, trust, and courage, are the ones that make life extraordinary." For a moment they stood in silence, enjoying the quiet, the connection, and the shared sense of accomplishment. Amara realized that the challenges at work, the simulations, the VR experiments, all of it had prepared her for something more profound. The ability to trust, to collaborate, and to embrace human ingenuity not just in technology, but in relationships. And with Kieran by her side, she felt ready for whatever the future held, whether it was the interstellar probe, the next experiment, or the unpredictable journey of human connection. As they descended from the rooftop together, Amara carried with her a renewed sense of confidence. Humans like her, clever, resourceful, and courageous, were capable of extraordinary feats. And humans like Kieran, attentive, playful, and supportive, made those feats all the more meaningful. She smiled to herself, knowing that the adventure was only just beginning. The trust between them had grown, the admiration was mutual, and the sense of possibility stretched farther than any starship could reach. For the first time, Amara felt that her human qualities, intelligence, resilience, and compassion, were not just enough. They were extraordinary, and with the right partner, the right trust, and the right challenges, humans could truly shine. The day of the interstellar probe launch arrived, and Novatech Industries was buzzing with energy. Engineers, scientists, and support staff moved quickly through the control rooms, checking systems, running final simulations, and ensuring every detail was perfect. Amara stood at the center of it all, reviewing the propulsion systems one last time. Her heart pounded with anticipation and excitement. This project was the culmination of months of work, dedication, and problem-solving, and she knew that every human quality, creativity, precision, courage, and resilience, was critical to its success. Kieran appeared beside her, leaning casually against the console with a confident grin. "Are you ready, Amara?" he asked. She smiled, feeling a mix of nerves and determination. "As ready as I'll ever be." He studied her for a moment, then nodded appreciatively. "Humans like you shine brightest under pressure, and today you're going to show everyone exactly why." Amara felt a rush of pride. Kieran's trust in her abilities had become a source of strength, and she drew courage from it. Together, they moved through the final checks, working with the team to ensure every parameter was optimal. Finally, the countdown began. 10, 9, 8. The room seemed to hold its breath, the tension palpable. Amara monitored the propulsion readings closely, her fingers dancing over the controls. Each second brought the mission closer to reality, and each reading confirmed the careful planning, calculations, and teamwork that had gone into this moment. 3, 2, 1. The room erupted in controlled excitement as the probe lifted off smoothly, engines glowing brilliantly against the clear sky. The launch was flawless. Amara exhaled deeply, a huge smile spreading across her face. She turned to Kieran, who was clapping enthusiastically, pride and admiration shining in his eyes. "See, humans like you make the impossible look easy," she laughed, feeling both exhilarated and relieved. "We did it. The team did it." Kieran shook his head slightly, still smiling. "True, the team contributed, but it's your leadership, your skill, your ingenuity that guided everyone through this. Humans like you, they inspire greatness." Her cheeks warmed, but she felt a deep satisfaction. This wasn't just about technical achievement. It was about collaboration, trust, and human resilience. And through it all, Kieran's support had been unwavering. Later that evening, after the celebrations had settled, Kieran invited Amara for a quiet walk on the rooftop garden again. The city lights stretched below them, twinkling like stars, while the real stars above mirrored the sense of wonder and possibility in the air. "Amara," Kieran began softly, "today proved something important. Humans like you, humans like us, we can accomplish incredible things when we trust ourselves and each other. But there's something else I've realized along the way." Amara tilted her head, curious. "What's that?" He stepped closer, lowering his voice so it felt intimate and personal. "It's not just the achievements that matter. It's the connections we form, the people who inspire us, challenge us, and make life extraordinary. You've done that for me. You've shown me what humans can truly be when they bring heart, courage, and curiosity to everything they do." Amara's heart skipped a beat. She felt a warmth spread through her chest, a mixture of excitement, affection, and admiration. "Kieran," she whispered, unsure what to say. He reached out, taking her hand gently. "Humans like us, we deserve to explore not just the stars but the possibilities between us. I admire you, Amara, not just as an engineer, not just as a leader, but as a human being. And I want us to continue this journey together." Her breath caught. She had sensed this connection growing through shared experiments, teamwork, and quiet moments, but hearing him say it aloud made it real. She squeezed his hand, a shy yet confident affirmation. "I'd like that," she said softly. He smiled, a mixture of relief, joy, and playful charm lighting up his face. "Good, because humans like us, we thrive together, inspire each other, and create moments worth remembering." For a long while, they simply stood there, holding hands, taking in the view, and letting the moment settle around them. The city lights below reflected their shared sense of accomplishment, connection, and possibility. Amara realized that the challenges she had faced, the simulations, the VR experiments, the high-pressure project, had all prepared her for this moment. The chance to embrace human ingenuity, courage, and connection fully. Over the next few weeks, their relationship evolved naturally. They continued to work closely at Novatech, but there was an unmistakable warmth in their interactions. Kieran's teasing remained, but it was now balanced with admiration and support, and Amara responded with confidence, humor, and intelligence. Their partnership was a blend of professionalism and genuine connection, proving that humans could excel both individually and together. One afternoon, as they reviewed designs for the next interstellar mission, Kieran glanced at her, smiling. "You know, Amara, humans like you make work feel less like work and more like an adventure." Amara laughed softly. And humans like you make adventure feel manageable and fun." He reached across the table, taking her hand in a brief, comforting squeeze. "Exactly. And that's why I think we make a great team, both professionally and personally." Amara felt a thrill of happiness. She realized that Kieran didn't just admire her skills. He appreciated her human qualities, her spirit, and her heart. And she, in turn, admired his vision, his playfulness, and his respect for her individuality. Together, they formed a partnership built on trust, ingenuity, and mutual admiration. Weeks turned into months, and the interstellar probe project continued to succeed beyond expectations. Amara and Kieran celebrated each milestone together, always finding time to acknowledge human ingenuity, courage, and collaboration. Their relationship flourished alongside their professional achievements, a testament to the power of human connection and inspiration. One evening, after another successful simulation, Kieran suggested a quiet walk on the rooftop. The stars were particularly bright, reflecting in Amara's eyes. He stopped, turning to face her fully. "Amara," he said softly, "humans like us. We achieve great things, explore the unknown, and push boundaries. But the most extraordinary part is the people we choose to share it with. I've chosen you." Her heart soared. "I've chosen you too," she replied, her voice steady yet full of emotion. He smiled warmly, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Then let's continue this journey together. Humans like us. We can do anything when we combine ingenuity, courage, and heart." Amara nodded, feeling a sense of completeness she had never known before. Together, they gazed at the stars, feeling both grounded and infinite. The world of advanced technology, interstellar missions, and ambitious projects was thrilling, but it was their connection, the human spark between them, that made life truly extraordinary. As they walked back down from the rooftop, hand in hand, Amara realized that humans were capable of remarkable things, not just in science or work, but in trust, love, and companionship. And with Kieran by her side, she was ready for any challenge, any adventure, and any journey, professional, personal, or interstellar. For the first time, she felt that her human qualities, intelligence, resilience, curiosity, and compassion, were not just enough. They were extraordinary, and together they could shine brighter than any star in the galaxy. And so, in the glow of city lights and starlit skies, Amara and Kieran began their journey together, humans at their best, inspiring each other, challenging each other, and embracing the extraordinary possibilities of life, love, and the universe itself.